You're listening to What She Said on Canada Talks.
This is What She Said with me, Christine Bentley, in studio with Sharon Caddy and our guest today, Brian Winston, who simply put is a global expert on retail, fashion, and the luxury market, brands from every angle. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
So today we are going to talk about the outlook for Canadian retail. It may not be Canadian at its source, but what's in Canada. Who's in, who's out, who are the new players across the country? And it's a good thing you're here because I think all of us are completely confused.
With good reason.
With good reason.
Of course. We're in a period of transition at the moment. Cute little Canada, which has been somewhat missing a lot of world brands, is now being overrun with people coming into the country and wanting to expand their business.
Why is that?
Yeah, what's so attractive about Canada that's drawing everybody?
Well, we have a lot of great things in Canada. First of all, we have a wealthy community, and we look at ourselves as part of the G7 or the G8. We're right up there. We have that disposable income and the client base that wants those branded products. And they are not holding back. If they don't get them in Canada, they're shopping US, they're shopping Asia, they're shopping the UK, Europe, wherever.
So we're a sophisticated market then.
We are a very sophisticated market, and our groupings have very branded, significant preferences.
So what you're saying then is retail in Canada generally, sector-wise, is doing well?
Yes, I am. We've had a really, really great year at 4.9%. We're still predicting that 2015 is still going to be in the 4.8 to 5% range. And we know that there's a decline in gas prices, and we know that that's going to hit the Calgary market somewhat. But we also understand that it's going to be picked up by the large wave of people coming from the Asian countries into the Vancouver and BC areas.
So when retailers we're watching a sort of a state of change, as you mentioned, we're kind of in a transition period, and we're watching retailers come and retailers go. I'm kind of wondering when, because of the change of the landscape now, retailers that are coming in, they're coming into a sophisticated market. They have to be equally sophisticated with that business plan when they're coming in. Has there been a lack of that in the past, do you think?
I think that the some of the retailers have underestimated the sophistication of the Canadian consumer. And one really has to be very specific about what the expectation is and how they have to meet it. Not to harp on the Target debacle, but part of the scenario is there was such a high expectation. People love shopping Target USA that they expected to have that same experience when they went into those shops, those stores.
And they didn't.
They didn't.
No.
For all the reasons we chatted about yesterday.
Yes. But, Brian, I think, when we talk amongst women, Sharon and I, let's say, talking about just our shopping experiences, and our shopping experiences, let's say, in the U.S., in the United States, for example, and perhaps Europe as well, you would know better than us how prevalent it is, people expect service. And I think traditionally, Canadian retailers have not provided the service, and Canadians put up with it, and Americans, they won't. So do you think that when a retailer from the U.S. comes, they just don't understand the customer?
I believe that they understand what their service requirements are. I think they have difficulty finding the qualified people that they hope to find at the price they hope to find. There are many qualified people here, but pricing does become a bit of a problem.
Well, pricing, and I'm thinking though in terms of service though, I think this wouldn't just be a Canadian thing. I think this is also a factor of the fact that now with online shopping, we can literally go online in our own time, order something, and it can be at my door tomorrow morning. And you get that kind of, whereas if I'm going into a store and they don't have what I'm looking for and I can't find associates to help me and I can't get what I'm looking for, there has to be a real focus on, I think the in-store experience has to be very well serviced, anywhere.
I agree with you 100%. One of my new associates came from the Bay and really did have the service and driving that whole experience. However, online shopping is a big, big competitor. And think about it, 11 o'clock, you're in your jammies with your fuzzy slippers, and there you are, click, click, click. And you're buying whatever you're buying, and there it is the next day.
It's that, we're an immediate society now.
I've always been immediate.
I may be immediate, but see, I'm the person who I want to try it on because seeing it, I want to touch it and feel it and see it. Because I'm reluctant. I'm reluctant to do it, and then it's all the hassle of then sending it back. Then I have to package it up and send it back. And I'm the person who, if I have a great in-store experience, I don't care if I pay more.
I think most of us are like that.
I think we all love the experience because we all like the relationship aspect.
That's right.
That we like the one-on-one with that particular sales associate or the owner of a small business. We like connecting with people, especially if we're people.
Right.
On the internet, one doesn't get that.
No.
Click here, do this, take it in red, take it in black, thank you. So it takes that away.
But, Brian, I've found even in luxury stores, I mean, we're talking, Gucci and all of them, the service is equally abysmal in terms of the experience compared to what it's like in London, Paris, Rome.
Absolutely.
And I walk in and I think, really, if I loved something here, I would really resent dropping that kind of money when you make me. I want to scream. I don't even like this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to even deal with you.
Perhaps a subject for another conversation.
Right. Okay.
But just suffice to say, the whole retail experience really needs to go through some revisions.
And is that being recognized, though?
A few of my clients are beginning to recognize it and understand that their staff training doesn't mean 8 hours on POS, point of sale things. Mm-hmm. It really revolves about being a real person and connecting as a real person because that's what's going to lock in that customer for them. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants a real person.
It's experiential.
100%. And that's how marketing is going, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is an experience.
So, getting now to really the crux of the matter, we'd like to talk about who is in and who is out, because, Brian, you seem to know it all. We may have to take a break partway through, yep. But let's start, because I think there are a whole bunch of shoppers out there across the country, and Brian has the picture across the country, mm-hmm. That would like to know. We got a couple of minutes, and then we're going to take a break, but let's start.
Okay, well, let's talk firstly about Bloomingdale's. Bloomingdale's is on the search. It's confirmed. The rumors have been out there on numerous times. They're looking for 120,000 square foot templates for their businesses, and they're looking Toronto and they're looking Vancouver. No.
Ooh, this is good.
So
okay.
I'm smiling.
There's your first new one that not too many people know about. We know that.
Just to go back for a minute, if they find their 120,000, what is the time lapse between finding the space and being here? Because it's not instant.
It's a 3-year process.
Oh, 3 years before we can shop Bloomingdale's here?
Well, we can shop online.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Or go on a trip.
I just wanted to get an idea of how that translates.
Right.
Okay.
It's about 3 years
about
from
3
start
years.
to finish.
Okay.
We know that Holt Renfrew is expanding their business now into Mississauga Square 1 for 120,000 square feet. And in Montreal, we have the expansion of the Ogilvy building, which will now encompass a very large space for Holt Renfrew Montreal for 220,000 square feet.
Wow.
That's good.
So for those of us who are in the Montreal area, it won't be as disjointed a shopping experience. It will be more concise and precise.
How is it disjointed?
Well, because of the actual real estate, Holt Renfrew in Montreal has been a series of buildings that are interconnected. So it's almost like you have to go from one building to another through a hallway, and it feels like it's not all in one spot.
It's a bit of a chore.
Yeah,
it is a bit
absolutely.
of a chore. And shopping should never be a chore.
No.
Oh, no.
And speaking of other expansions within Canada, we have La Maison Simon, who many people in Ontario are not familiar with. Maison Simon is really a wonderful merchant who has transcribed the mix of designer with affordability. So they're looking right now at in Vancouver, in West Vancouver to be specific, at the Park Royal South, and in Gatineau, which will, I believe, be opening in 2015. Mississauga Square 1 in September 2016, and Ottawa, as I said, was 2015. They have on the book stores for Calgary, and they opened their first store, which won North American awards in Edmonton. It's fabulously well done, and I love the mix, because that's what it's all about. We all buy high-low.
Nice.
We buy that one designer thing because we aspire to it, but then we got to buy the cheap T-shirt to go underneath.
To go underneath, you're absolutely right. Well, Brian Winston is our guest. This is What She Said, and we have lots more to discuss about the exciting and interesting changes ahead of the Canadian retail landscape. Stay with us. We will be right back.
You're watching What She Said on YouTube.
Hello there, I'm Christine Bentley in studio with Sharon Caddy and our global retail expert, Brian Winston, who's just been filling us in and will continue to on who is coming to Canada. And we're talking stores, and we're all jumping up and down about Bloomingdale's, but do continue.
Lovely. So we'd also like to talk about the Nordstrom family of stores, which are coming to Canada. We opened on September 19th. With the Calgary Chinook store, and March 6th will be the opening of the Ottawa Rideau Centre store. Mm-hmm. The one thing about Nordstrom's as opposed to some of the other companies is they are doing it slowly. They're trying to learn the markets a little bit more carefully and understanding the regional differences between their markets. And I think that this is a very, very important strategy, which I'm pleased to say that I was a part of.
How was the reception with the first opening?
So far, it's been quite good. There's a lot of things that they're learning. There are a few disappointments, and it again comes down to expectation. And if I'm in what we refer to as an A Nordstrom's, and maybe I'm getting a B in Calgary, then there are differences by size, by choice, by breadth of selection, that sort of thing.
Right. And Toronto, too?
Yes, there will be 3 Toronto locations that are scheduled for 2016. We're looking at part of where Sears was, at the Eaton Centre, Yorkdale, and we're looking at Sherway. And most of those are going to be in the 150 to 180,000 square feet. So they're going to be B pluses within, and I think that will be appropriate for Toronto. We're also looking at the other another American company coming in. Saks Fifth Avenue will be here.
That's nice too.
Yay! Saks has been a part of my professional career for many, many years, and their first store will open this fall, 150,000 square feet in the existing HBC Bay Building at Queen and Yonge. Their front doors will be on Yonge Street, right at the corner, and it's going to be a very branded experience.
Wow, that's Toronto, by the way, for anybody
That's Toronto,
who doesn't live here.
Yes, and they're doing a great food hall with the Pusateri's group, which is going to be fantastic. So kudos to all of them for putting that together.
Will there be more of them?
Yes, there will. Sure way. Fall 2016, 130,000 square feet. Downtown Vancouver is still waiting to be confirmed. And downtown Montreal, same as above, but they are in the plans.
So what that means is they're looking for the right space.
Right. Location, 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 the old adage, becomes so important. And, one needs to get that right flow of traffic. And one has to feel comfortable that it's a good fit for the demographics of that particular market.
So, Brian, I mean, I almost feel disloyal cheering for, Nordstrom's and Saks Fifth Avenue when so many Canadian retailers have exited the scene. So, is there anything Canadian left?
Absolutely. HBC and Richard Baker, and even though it is owned by the American conglomerate that he has put together, is 100%, it is Canadian at heart. And Bonnie Brooks, who's done an amazing job, and now Liz Rodbell, who's taken over her shoes, are doing a great job at really fortifying the Canadian cultural and historical part of the way that business started as fur trappers, and carrying it forward into the next millennium for a good majority of middle and upper income shoppers.
I think the Bay has really stepped up its game in the last
number
of years.
For myself, for other people that I know, it's gone from being a place you kind of stopped in at the mall to actually a main stop.
Yep.
100%. And I will tell you that the 12 days of Christmas, which grew to 30 days of Christmas, every morning I opened that email and loved it.
Oh, me too. Oh, my goodness. I
got
love
a suitcase.
Those.
Got all kinds
the
of great...
suitcase deal was... that was awesome. Oh, yeah. That was a savings of about $400 or $500. That was a good
huge
deal.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. Thank you. And then we have people like Sporting Life. Brian McGrath and Paul, Russell, and Patty, who started off their business on a small store in Yonge Street, south of Eglinton, moved to a bigger store north of Eglinton, and have expanded this business dramatically in such a great way to 4 stores, and now they were bought out by Fairfax Financial. And they're expanding now into Markham, 32,000 square feet, opening in September. Ottawa and Lansdowne Park, which I think is opening this week. Lansdowne Park is in Ottawa. Richmond Hill for the fall of 2016. And Calgary South Centre. So there's a great Canadian company.
Absolutely.
That's a great Canadian success story.
Yes,
I love hearing that.
It's sort of like a Roots.
Yes, absolutely. But it's more, Roots is a vertical integration, so it's their own product and nothing else. But Sporting Life is a general merchant, so they're buying from many different vendors.
But they've grown really knowing the Canadian mindset, the Canadian consumer.
Absolutely. And we want to talk about service. I love their service there.
I was just there this week. The service is incredible.
They can't do enough for you, and I love the youth and the vitality of it all. And there's just like, oh, let me get that for you, and it's fantastic.
What I loved about hearing about Christine's experience in this week's shopping there is that there's a product that she said, you know what, you guys should look at this product, and they say, yes, we will.
I brought something back and said, they said you have 48 hours. I said, it just doesn't fit right. No problem, brought it back. The manager came out and said, just wondering, what was the problem? I said, well, I just didn't. He said, yeah, that brand kind of is a bit boxy and probably too big a fit on you. And I said, but I was looking at one online that's in Montreal that we can't buy here in Toronto. And he said, what is it? Told him, and I said, it's great. And he said, I will look it up. He said, if you get one online, would you please come back and see me so I can have a look at it? And I thought, wow.
I love hearing that story.
A manager who really is interacting with a customer and saying, what do you want? Is this something that you like? Let me look into it. Let us look into it.
And see if it's something our clients would be interested in. I love hearing stories like that because it's somebody that actually is caring and taking the time.
Right, and in our business we call that D2C, direct to consumer. So we want to make sure that we listen to that. And the whole aspect of what I used to do in one-on-one shopping was listening to that customer, hearing what she needed, and making sure that we got it out to her, not maybe that moment, but in the next season or thereabouts, because consumers tell you everything, good and bad.
Yeah.
And, bad they tell 10 people, good they tell 2. But nonetheless, that if you are there and can pick up on the signs, you are well ahead of what you need to be.
Well, I've always loved their merchandise, but he just made, I would push people out of the way to try and buy whatever it was at Sporting Life instead of somewhere else, if it was an equal price, let's say, because of the service.
Yeah.
I feel like they care.
Absolutely.
I want somebody to care what I want.
in many cases, I am willing to pay a few dollars more to go somewhere, knowing I'm going to pay a few dollars more, but they are going to actually see that I'm getting what I want.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's all part of that relationship equity that we all want to have with that company. So let's just briefly talk about some of the other transitions that are going on. So in Bloor Street in Toronto, what we generally refer to as Mink Mile, so that's Yonge to Avenue Road, we're going to be seeing the loss of Pottery Barn and Williams-Sonoma.
Wow.
That's sad, but they will be relocating to less expensive real estate. Manulife is also going, at 55 Bloor, is going to be reconfigured. So it's been kind of a lost soul for the last little while, and it needs to drive traffic back inside to the Manulife Centre. And then we have Yorkville with First Capital, which is redeveloping the Hazelton Lanes. So it's going to be quite a wonderful place when the dust settles and the construction is done. And they're also very busy buying up property around the surrounding areas. So there's going to be a huge amount of condos within that area. And I'm sure they'll be expensive condos. But here's one more segment and another little scenario. Todd's Shoes, the Italian brand, coming to Yorkville and Cumberland Street. So look for that soon.
Well, that's great, Brian. This is amazing. I'm going to start saving up for all this shopping I would like to be doing, and everybody else.
And we'd certainly like to chat with you again. There's so much we can talk about when it comes to these things.
Come back.
Thank you so much for having me and the company, and I'm thrilled to be here.
And you promised to come back.
And I promise.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.